If you're new here, I'm Prod by Med. I create music and visual content, and I'm always looking for tools that speed up production without killing quality. Higgsfield is interesting because it brings multiple advanced AI video models into one platform, including Nano Banana Pro, Kling 2.6 Audio, WAN 2.5, and their new Cinema Studio workflow. In this video, I'll show you my full workflow, from generating a cinematic image to turning it into a finished video. What I like about Higgsfield is that it doesn't feel like a toy. You're not just typing a prompt and hoping for the best. You actually control resolution, framing, camera motion, and consistency. If you can describe a scene, you can turn it into a film-like shot. I'm starting with Nano Banana Pro, which is Higgsfield's high-end image generation model. This model is designed for creators who need clean, production-ready visuals, not just social media images. One of the biggest advantages here is resolution control. You can generate images in 1K, 2K, or full 4K, and even upscale lower resolution images to crisp 4K output. Another important detail is text accuracy. If your scene includes signage, UI elements, or readable text, Nano Banana Pro keeps everything sharp and stable, which is something many image models still struggle with. You'll also notice stronger facial consistency and better understanding of complex prompts. This makes it much easier to maintain a character or visual identity across multiple shots. What I also like here is that Cinema Studio forces you to think like a filmmaker. You're not just animating an image, you're deciding how the viewer experiences the scene. Small choices like camera height, movement speed, or depth of field completely change the mood of the shot. For example, a slow push-in immediately adds tension and focus, while a static frame feels more minimal and commercial. This level of control is something most AI video tools still don't offer. Another important detail is consistency. When you're working on a brand video, a music visual, or even a short film, consistency is everything. Cinema Studio helps maintain the same lighting, framing, and cinematic language across different shots. That's what makes the final result feel cohesive, instead of a collection of random AI clips. You'll also notice that motion feels very natural here. The camera doesn't jump or overreact. Movements are smooth, controlled, and realistic. This is especially important for luxury visuals, automotive shots, and cinematic environments, where subtle motion usually looks more expensive than aggressive movement. Another thing worth mentioning is how well Cinema Studio handles reflections, highlights, and shadows. As the camera moves, lighting reacts naturally, which helps preserve realism. This is where the video starts to feel closer to a real commercial or film shot, rather than something purely AI-generated. Overall, Cinema Studio feels less like a generator and more like a virtual film set. You start with a deliberate first frame, then guide the camera exactly where you want it to go. For creators who care about cinematic storytelling, this workflow makes a huge difference. Next, I'm testing Kling 2.6 Audio, which is one of the most efficient tools on the platform. What makes Kling special is that it generates video and audio together, including ambience, sound design, and voice in a single generation. This is a huge time saver, especially if you're creating cinematic scenes, trailers, or short films. Motion fidelity is noticeably better here. Camera movement feels smoother, multi-object scenes stay more stable, and the overall result feels more cohesive. If you want fast, film-like scenes without heavy post-production, this model is extremely practical. One of the biggest advantages of Kling 2.6 Audio is how integrated everything feels. Instead of generating visuals first and worrying about sound later, you get a complete scene in one pass. Motion, ambience, and audio are all synchronized from the start. This dramatically reduces the amount of post-production needed. The way Kling handles audio is especially impressive. Ambient sounds feel natural and spatial, which helps sell the environment of the scene.
And winter is coming.
L'hiver arrive. Se acerca el invierno.
Der Winter kommt.
Dòng tiền giàu lãi le.
Sardi aa rahi hai.
Whether it's subtle background noise or a more cinematic soundscape, everything feels placed intentionally, not randomly layered. From a visual perspective, motion fidelity is also very solid. Camera movement stays smooth and controlled, even in scenes with multiple elements. You don't get that shaky or unstable feeling that some AI video models struggle with. This makes Kling 2.6 Audio extremely useful for creators working on trailers, short-form cinematic content, or concept visuals. You can generate a film-like scene very quickly, review the result, and iterate without rebuilding everything from scratch. In a real-world workflow, this kind of speed matters a lot. Being able to go from prompt to a complete audio-visual scene in minutes opens up a lot of creative possibilities, especially when you're working on tight timelines. I'll also briefly test WAN 2.5, which is more flexible and less restricted creatively. This model is great if you want bold visuals, stylized scenes, or culture-driven content. It supports audio, motion, and longer scene durations, making it ideal for social media formats like Reels, TikTok, or experimental visuals. WAN 2.5 feels more expressive, while still maintaining solid video quality. What makes WAN 2.5 stand out is its creative freedom. This model doesn't feel overly restricted, which gives you more room to experiment with bold ideas and unconventional visuals. WAN 2.5 is especially useful when you're aiming for a strong visual identity rather than strict realism. Stylized lighting, dramatic motion, and expressive framing all work very well here. Another advantage is the support for longer scene durations and multiple aspect ratios. This makes WAN 2.5 ideal for content designed specifically for social platforms like TikTok, Reels, or YouTube Shorts. From an audio perspective, everything stays well synchronized with motion. Voice, ambience, and movement feel connected, which helps maintain flow even in more experimental scenes. Compared to the other tools, WAN 2.5 feels more expressive and less controlled. And that's exactly the point. It's not trying to replace Cinema Studio or Kling. Instead, it gives creators a fast way to explore creative concepts, test ideas, and push visuals in a more artistic direction. In a real workflow, this is the kind of tool you'd use when you want to move quickly, experiment freely, and generate attention-grabbing visuals without overthinking technical details. After testing these tools together, what stands out is how cohesive the workflow feels. Instead of jumping between platforms, everything lives in one place, from the first frame to the final video. For creators who care about cinematic quality and speed, this approach makes a lot of sense. Overall, what I like about Higgsfield is how focused it is on real creative workflows. Instead of pushing one single model, it gives you different tools depending on what you're trying to achieve, whether that's cinematic control, speed, or creative freedom. If you're working on music visuals, brand content, trailers, or even experimental short films, having everything in one platform can save a lot of time without sacrificing quality. Personally, I see Higgsfield as a strong option for creators who want to move fast, but still care about how their visuals feel. It's not about replacing traditional filmmaking. It's about accelerating the creative process. If you're curious to try it yourself, I've added all the relevant links in the description below.
If you also want to try this AI tool, use my unique promo code in the description and get free access. The link is also in the description. Check it out.